Hello and welcome to Tales from a Professional Nerd. My name is Bryan Steele and I will be your nerd today and any other day when you watch one of my silly little shows. Hi everybody. So today is a great day for me because I get to let you guys in on some cool stuff that's been going on and if you checked out the thumbnail, I actually get to, I don't know, rebroadcast, but basically give a little further audience to a really cool live stream that we did for Surviving Strangehollow. Originally it was released just for the VIPs, the people who got into the special VIP club for Strangehollow, which is still something you can do, by the way. And then now we're sharing it a little further out so that other people can get that information as well. But yeah, so let's go ahead and kick it into high gear and get you the information that you actually want to know. The Week in Bryan. That sounded really egotistical, which it didn't mean that way. I just want to get to it so you guys can interact. All right, so first and foremost, personal stuff. I have either some kind of I don't know, it's not a slip disc or anything. I've had this pain before. I think it's my sciatica. My lower back, pretty much every morning when I wake up, it sucks. It's no fun. But I'm doing a lot of massages. I've got a punch gun that is helping me dramatically if I remember to use it. And it is getting better a little bit every day, but there were a couple days there that really sucked. And considering I've got technically 2 conventions next week, I really don't need to have my body yelling at me when I'm going to be on my feet for as long as I am. But yeah, so it also means that my journeys to the gym have been a little bit about, rather than about weight loss, it's been more about kind of recovery. You know, I'm trying to make sure that I don't fall apart. Just trying to work that, if it's a pinched nerve or if it's my sciatic, just trying to make that be better before next week, and hopefully that will be the case. Hobby-wise, so I actually just got a couple of minis off of the printer that I would like to have. I'm going to try and get it painted before Adepticon next week. Should be pretty cool. I can't talk about it yet, but you'll find out. And I officially started to de-sprue and assemble the giant kit that I said that I had been waiting on for like a month now, if not longer. So more on that in the future. Gaming wise, so I have 2 fun gaming things that I get to talk about. First, we played in a really long session. You know what? I'm actually going to do the opposite. I'm going to do the little one first. So last night we recorded the first episode of a 2-episode Surviving Strangehollow actual play for Sarah's Table on Gen Con TV, which the day that this video comes out, the first episode I think is going up on Sarah's Table tonight. That night. Tonight being you know what I mean. So you should check out Gen Con TV or Gen Con TV Twitch and check out that video because it is the first time outside of like playtesting and like private convention games. It's the first time that Strangehollow is getting played out in the world, and we had an absolute blast with old friends, made some new friends. It was a lot of fun, and you should check it out. And I'm very much looking forward to getting the second part of that series, or that actual play, because we kind of ended on a little bit of a cliffhanger. Spoilers, I guess. And then the other game I want to talk about that I got in this week, it was a session of my wife's Land of Monsters D&D game, her own campaign world, and it was a particularly long session. We actually got like a good 6 hours of gaming in, which I know that's not a lot of people are like 6 hours. That's normal when you're juggling a bunch of adults with weird schedules and a teenager whose attention span normally lasts a movie and some change before something needs to change. It was awesome. It was almost, we had a little bit of like storyline building, narrative stuff in the beginning, and then we got into a caravan ambush, an old school bandits on the road. Get the map out, put up a bunch of terrain. We've got caravan carts, and where are you all standing? Because suddenly arrows start flying. And so I have been a player and a DM and a GM and a storyteller and all the sorts of things for decades, literally decades. And to say that my wife, who has only been DMing for like a year and some change, like a little bit over a year, to say that she undertook a fight, a combat involving so many moving parts and so many bad guys, and several NPCs. I mean, like literally, I think at top count we figured out there was like 28 or 29 total moving pieces, including the five the 5 player characters. It was it was huge. It was massive. It was larger than most combats that I've ever run without instituting some kind of minion rule or group fights or something, some kind of special system that I'm playtesting for mass combat or something like that. It was unbelievably impressive, and I am absolutely completely impressed with the fact that she handled it with very little rules issues. A couple of times that things got a little confusing, it had nothing to do with the combat. It had to do with maybe like a house rule or something along those lines, that about a magic item or something like that. I was and still am thoroughly impressed that we got through it. I mean, yeah, it took a long time, but it wasn't a slog. It wasn't checking watches and being, God, when is this fight gonna end? It was really, really well done, and she did an amazing job. Each of the the different bad guys, the ambushers, they used real tactics. She had the thieves do a lot of running behind terrain and hiding, or rogues running behind terrain and hiding, so they could pop out and get better attacks the round following. It was really, really well done, and I'm my proverbial hat goes comes off for it. She did a great job, and afterwards, when we always do the questions for experience and whatnot, or not the experience, but you know what I mean, that kind of the kind of grading the session questions at the end. I told her as much, that not only was that ambitious, but it was well executed, and that she should be really, really proud. If there's ever a moment she questions about the fact that she's getting it as a DM, that session should absolutely prove it. So props to my wife for running one hell of a combat. I'm not normally someone who gives a lot of credence to well, you're an excellent game master because combat, or it was an excellent game session because combat. It's all about, it's a mix of everything, but that from just a general gamer outsider looking into someone who's relatively new to the process, she knocked it out of the park, and I'm very proud of her. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to boot. All right, so that was gaming. We said personal, we did gaming. What else we have? I forgot what else we talked about. Work stuff. I feel like I'm missing something. Personal, gaming, work stuff. painting we did. Yeah, all right. So work stuff. The Shadowrun novel is almost done. I have been making unbelievable amounts of headway on it. I set myself a daily goal. It's in my calendar that says write this many words or, don't go to sleep yet. And it has been keeping me honest. It's been keeping me up to up on things, and I am going to hit the easily, unless knock on wood somewhere, unless things completely go crazy in one of the other aspects of my life. I will have no problem meeting the new deadline for this novel and getting that sent off, so I can then write the treatment for the next novel and get that approved. Plus other things, obviously. But yeah, I'm excited about that. The Warzone Beta 3 rules, the as close to final as you can get before we put them into the layout system, and get the books actually sent off to the printer and things. Those went out to the backers and to the Facebook group. I haven't had a chance to play any this week. Sadly, just it's been different kind of busy. But the playtesters are working their way through the next wave of units and stats. Had a really good conversation with someone concerning kind of a minor wording of a rule for one of the Wave 2 things that just need to get altered. Found a couple of typos. Nothing. Those things they're all expected. It happens. That's what the editors are for. But it is always nice to catch it early on, so you can make those adjustments before the editors ever see it. I've got working on Strangehollow. Working on. I'm in mass adventure writing mode for Evil Genius. I've got some organized play stuff that I'm working on currently, putting words down on one of the organized play adventures, which is gonna be a fun. It's gonna be a fun when that one comes out. I'm super excited for that. If only because there's a big, of the organized play overarching meta, there is a big plot point that gets dropped in Ego Assignment 6. So I'm excited to I like to hear when people react to things. It's part of the reasons why when I talk about movies and things, I hate spoilers, and I hate giving spoilers. I don't like when someone's like, don't worry about it, I don't care, I'll see it later. I hate doing that because I want them to feel that I want them to appreciate the plot drop, the nuance in the story hook or whatever, the twist, as the writers intended it. Not the I'll appreciate it either way. It is not the same. It really isn't. So I'm very excited to see see and hear how the gamers react to the plot twist in that particular assignment. Also, starting some real honest work on the Intergalactic Heroes. Obviously, it's a work in progress, and it has been for a while. But I took a good couple hours out of my workday the other day, and I officially set down the. I put down what I would consider to be the table of contents for the core rules of Intergalactic Heroes. Basically, how I would like it to see it laid out, what all is going to go into it. Kind of highlighted a few things that I need to add. A couple of there's a lot of stuff that is porting over from the former sci-fi rules that we were working on. Just need some changes, obviously, to make it fit with the new idea, the new concept. So yeah, that's underway. I mean, it's still a ways off, and obviously, the art assets and to say the cart is before the horse implies the cart has been built. We have a horse. we have a horse. And I'm excited to build the cart and put it hopefully behind the horse over the next couple of months. I mean, we're not really looking at releasing the actual final product until next year on this anyway. But I do want to get it all assembled, and if all goes well, I really would love to be able to get like a beta test out to the world, to get people to take a look at some stuff and decide whether or not, this class is utterly broken. Like that. I mean, I'm very confident in the system. I'm very confident in my design skills. I'm very confident in the other developers who helped shape some of these classes. But it doesn't mean that we didn't miss something, and it doesn't mean that someone might see a this plus this equals win that I personally never want in anything that I design. So so that's underway as well. I mean, it's just I'm always busy. People are always asking, my friends and family and stuff. Do you have time for this? Do you have time for that? And when someone says I want you on a live stream or I want you to do a podcast, and I'm like, all right, well, let's get it on the schedule. It's not that I'm being egotistical, and it's not that I am filled with hubris. Be like, yes, I must get you on the schedule. It's nothing like that. It is that I have a lot going on. I do a lot of projects in my free time because I don't want to take away from my salaried job. I don't want to take away from my stuff at Evil Genius, and try and sneak stuff in. That's not how I work. But it does mean that I have a lot of long hours. I do a lot of extra time in the studio when I start juggling projects, and going into April and May, I got some projects to juggle. So you'll be hearing more about them as I can reveal. But it's it's the life of a freelancer. If you go back to episodes like 1 through 5 of this channel, way back when, in the Wayback Machine, when I was doing this to fight my depression for being recently no longer staff at a company. I did this. I started this channel to talk about all of the ins and outs of being a freelancer in the industry. And there are some I don't even call them evils. There's just some things that you have to deal with, some obstacles, and some of those obstacles is the fact that there are only so many hours in the day, and you gotta be good with scheduling the stuff that you need to get done, and that's what I do. But sometimes I do get the opportunity to enjoy myself and play some games and jump on an actual play or do a live stream podcast. Or in the case of today, what I am just about ready to show you is get on a live stream with some of my fellow designers and some of the people involved with creating Strangehollow. And we get to talk for a while about the ins and outs of what makes it cool. And so that is what I'm showing you today, is a live stream that we did about Surviving Strangehollow, which is currently at Kickstarter's by the time this video is out. And I hope you've had a chance to check a look at it and to throw in, if not just to support me and my endeavors, but also to show some love to an amazing artist. Emily Hare is fantastic and deserves the credit. Her art deserves the attention and the credit that we can give it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and pull up that video where we get to pontificate about all things cool and Strangehollow, and then I will see you back here in a short little bit. I didn't hit the button. That long pause was not you, that was me. All right, we'll see you back in a sec.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Surviving Strangehollow VIP live stream. I suppose others are here as well. Thank you for being here. I would like to introduce our folks with us this evening. You might recognize some of them and might not others. I'm just going to go down the line. For starters, we have Bryan Steele, author. Bryan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am Bryan C.P. Steele. I have been doing nerd stuff since the very early 2000s. I make miniature games, role-playing games, tabletop games, and occasionally act the fool on the internet. You can often find me at Bryan C.P. Steele in most places.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
No
Next,
worries.
we have the legendary Ed Greenwood, author as well. Ed, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, dear. 59 years ago, I created something called Forgotten Realms. So this gaming thing is all my fault. Yes, I am older than dirt. And when I am not being older than dirt, I hang out in a public library and help people find books. That's my real job.
Excellent. That is a worthwhile job. I am also a librarian. We may be getting that later. We also have Aaron Roberts, author as well for the Surviving Strangehollow. Aaron, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name's Aaron Roberts. I am a writer of stories and games. On the story side, I've had stories published in Clarkesworld and Asimov's and cool places like that. And I talk about writing every week on the Writing Excuses podcast with other awesome people. And on the game side of things, I've done game work for lots of cool people like Paizo and Wizards of the Coast and Ghostfire Gaming, etc., etc. And probably the coolest thing, I guess, credit-wise, is last year I was one of the Diana Jones Emerging Game Designer winners.
Very cool. That's awesome. Thank you very much. Next, we have Sean Merwin, the lead designer of the project. Sean, got anything to give the folks out there?
I am just slightly younger than Dirt, but not by much. I've been writing games, making games officially for the last 25 years, working for Wizards of the Coast, Ghostfire Gaming, Kobold Press, Modifius, I think a few others. And no one has stopped me from doing this yet, so I'm going to continue to do so.
Awesome. I think a lot of people will be happy about that. Next up, we have Michael Horlick, the project manager. Mikey, tell us about yourself.
Sure. So I think I've been signing all the emails that people are getting Chief Cat Herder for this, and that feels about right. So I'm one half of Accidental Cyclops, an Indianapolis-based gaming company. This is our third game, and just super excited about the team we have and the stories we're going to tell you guys that are going on in Strangehollow. It's just so freaking cool. It's so cool.
Awesome. And last we have Jason Ward, who I have known since high school, and we've worked on some things together. Ward, tell us about yourself as the other half of Accidental Cyclops.
Sure thing. So I have two claims to fame. Number one, I'm the chief cat that Mikey has to hurt a lot. Number two, I've known Bryan Steele for as longer than he's been doing this. So that makes me that makes me pretty cool. I am, as Mikey said, half of Accidental Cyclops. We are publishers and designers, but we're not good enough designers to do this alone. So we brought in all these awesome people plus a few more to help us make this thing awesome.
And they are definitely making it awesome. And I'm Jason Piercy, your host. I also have worked with Ward before on the Real Thing project, but today I'm just going to let these folks chat and see what any questions that are in the chat in the stream. But for now, guys, what do you think about the start of this campaign?
Super awesome. Like, it's just effect
Yeah.
from Mr. Ward.
That was magic.
I'm super excited
Funded
about
really well. Glad.
Yeah, funding in less than 2 hours. Just seeing people be drawn to it. It's just great to see the response from gamers like us.
Mhm.
Yeah, before we got on camera and on stream, I told the guys this is not my normal thing. I'm in a hotel at Gamma right now for other stuff, and I was at a panel when we funded, and I started doing a little happy dance, and one of my coworkers leaned over and was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "We funded," and he's like, "We have a Kickstarter going." I was like, "No, but I do." It was like an hour and 43 minutes in. I started doing a little happy dance around people and made absolutely look like I was losing my mind.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was at work watching it, also excited because we've been talking about, you guys been talking about this project for a while, and when we were all talking about the team, and you guys were telling me who your kid was, like, you're kidding me. This is going to be awesome. Oh, and Brian, who we've known for a long time, that's super cool too.
I like how you said that. So there's all these really talented people.
Ow.
And Brian?
No, honestly,
Ouch.
Brian, I love you.
Ouch.
You know I love you. We've known each other for too
I
long.
know.
We've known each other. So that, how long? I know some of us have worked on projects together before. So what do you guys, who all here knows each other, and what have you done together?
So
Well,
I've never worked with. Oh no, Sean, go ahead. I'll shut up.
I'll start by saying that I reached out to Accidental Cyclops when I saw a post on a forum somewhere where they're like, "Hey, we want to do this project," and I just happened to have some time, so I reached out. I think it was to Jason at first and said, "Hey, tell me some more." And Jason's like, "Okay, cool." And I could tell he wasn't quite sure who I was, maybe, but he got back to me. Yeah, he looked me up right away, and if he went to like RPG Geek, it probably took him about 2 hours to get through the things I've worked on because there's a long list. And so he got back to me, and he's like, "Hey, this is what we want to do." We met in Indianapolis at Gen Con and talked more about the project, and I loved what they were putting down. Both Emily's art, obviously, being the impetus for this whole thing.
Oh yeah.
But then just let's come at this from a completely different vantage point. Let's design this in a way that usually doesn't happen, which is let's start with the art and then build some stories and then build the world and then build the game, as opposed to how it normally works, which is game and world first. And so they said, "Well, do you know some people who might be interested?" And I'm like, "I think I might know a few people." So that's when I started reaching out to some of my favorite people in the industry. Either people who have been doing it for a long time or people who are relatively new to me. And so I reached out to Ed and to Elisa and to James Hake and to Aaron and to Dale Kingsmill. And I know that Brian has worked with Alyssa and has also knows Accidental Cyclops, and he was already on board. And I'm like, "Okay, let's do this. Let's get these 6 people together and let's start telling stories." So I just wanted to either work with these people for the first time, or based on what I've heard from others, bring them into this project to get the chance to see what they could do. And I think people are going to be very pleased with all of this.
Excellent. Yeah, that's
We got
beautiful.
some really cool stuff planned. I think the way people are in the chat now talking about what level druid all of us are, I think because of the Strange Hollow theme, they've got everything mixed up here. Sean is the art. He's the Grand Druid. He's the one, as far as I'm concerned, the one in charge. He's got the vision. He's got his roots everywhere. He knows all the folks. And we just said, "Hey, Sean, do you want to come druid over here?" And he said yes. And that's how all this happened.
That's cool.
It took a while to read through your RPG Geek page, but about 4 seconds to realize that, we need
I
to
go
get
for
Sean.
quantity, not quality. So
I respectfully disagree. I disrespectfully disagree.
He says,
And
"Good day."
I'd just like to point out that yes, it's not normally done to go from art to everything else.
Mhm.
But if you're old enough and you remember the early days of Dragon, that's how things happened all the time. We got this piece of art. We need you to write something to go with it by tomorrow.
Mhm.
So the difference is we will have time to make Strangehollow really come to life, because it won't be tomorrow. be a little longer. And I'm looking forward to it because I love fantasy swamps. If you've ever been caught in a real swamp, fantasy swamps don't have that certain smell. It hates your skin and hair and all your clothing and your toenails and never goes away. So that, like, 4 months later, you smell it again and you go, oh yeah, I'm back in the swamp.
Ah, yes, the bog of eternal stench.
There's a creature like that.
Oh, that's amazing.
There is. Yep, we've got a fun stinky creature that's involved in Strange Hollow. Jay, do you want
I'm
to?
right here, Dayton.
Whoa.
Jay, do you want to jump into some of these questions? We'll see if we can start answering any of them.
Sure. Let's see.
There are about
Go up
two
a little
serious
bit, go up a little
questions.
bit.
The rest of them are from Cody, and they don't make any sense because he's Cody.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm just going to scroll up a little bit. So, okay. A Kevkilla7 is wondering about if there's any inspiration from Labyrinth, which is funny that I just said the Bog of Eternal Stench. I didn't realize I was there.
Yeah. We have mentioned Labyrinth and Dark Crystal multiple times in some of the conversations we've had. I'll take this briefly and then throw it off to the people that actually know what they're talking about. In my mind, I don't know that we're taking. I don't know that the content is labyrinthy, but it feels labyrinthy to me. Like when I imagine Strange Hollow, I imagine all of the background being dark. Like it is in Dark Crystal and in Labyrinth. I imagine the critters being at once cute or unsettlingly cute, but also mean in ways that aren't necessarily claws and teeth, but might be mean in other ways. So for me, that's where it comes from.
Anybody else?
Oh, I was giving other people time to talk. Otherwise, I'll just sit here and run my mouth. I think that I could easily see Muppets playing in Strange Hollow. Like, I know
I
that
could
sounds
easily
weird,
see-
but like,
I'd see Muppets getting eaten in Strange Hollow.
which also tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the next book should be the Strange Hollow cookbook.
Oh,
Well,
we will-
maybe a stretch goal. I'm just
Well,
saying.
Yeah.
I mean, Sean, you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, we will have stories. All of the stories that we're telling that will lead to the world building, that will lead to the rules, are going to be different. We have some fairy tale type stuff. We have some tall tale type stuff. We have journals. We do have some cookbooks. We do have some other types of narratives that will tell the story of Strange Hollow. So there may not be an official Strange Hollow cookbook, but if you buy the book, you will find some recipes for some strange things.
Oh.
And in terms of the Muppets, there's Sesame Street, then there's the Muppet Show, then there's that one Muppet Show where Alice Cooper was on. That's the Muppet Show that we're looking at here, the one that makes the children cry when they see it, not knowing that they're going from John Denver and in his appearance on the Muppet Show to Alice Cooper in one episode, and the scary Muppets come out.
I love that
Muppets
episode.
are terrifying. Even like Bert and Ernie freak me out a bit.
bit.
Just it's some people just have the some people have the clown thing, some people have the puppet thing, and if puppets don't affect you and you think that Strange Hollow would be really cute puppets, you're gonna have a fear of puppets soon.
Never watch a movie called The Feebles, Sean. Just
I
don't
will
do it.
definitely not.
Yeah. I mean, Fraggle Rock is enough out there for me.
Oh yeah.
So we've got Koala Quests
Yeah.
asking something about exploration and travel. Excuse me. I'm going to clear my throat. And I think this is we've put that front and center a couple of times where we want non-combat challenges to be one of the focuses of Strange Hollow, and I'm going to unpack it from my perspective at the 37,000 foot level, where the Boeings fly, and then Sean can tell you, a little bit about how we're imagining that from a writing perspective. For me, a lot of D&D in particular, but role-playing games in general focus on the challenge being things that you try to conquer, creatures, people, other people, what have you. And we wanted Strange Hollow to have that. Obviously, the creatures are definitely a focus, but there's a lot around the creatures that make Strange Hollow interesting and deadly as well. So what we want to do is toy around, what we are doing, I should say, is toying around with new ways to encounter non-creature challenges in the environment, whether that's weather, whether that's things like that, or completely new things like how do we have fauna and flora that aren't necessarily fight encounters affect you? How do we do character transformation just for being in Strange Hollow for too long? What kind of challenge can that make? And there's a lot of other ideas that we're kicking around as well, and Sean's kind of leading that charge.
Yeah, and I think what's fun about that is, we think about types of challenges that you can have that are, oh, well, I have this second level spell that basically negates this challenge. And then it's how do we play around with how those spells might work in Strange Hollow to make it interesting for veteran players that might have the PHB memorized. But it's like, well, that spell doesn't work this way here. And they have to learn, again, have that fun of discovery about how things work in this new place that they're playing in.
Oh, every time you cast this sort of spell, the trail that you're on reaches a different place.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Cool. What do good berries in Strange Hollow taste like? Do you really trust them to heal you every time that you're going to eat them? Right. And so those are the things that we're playing around with to make as Jason said, the non-combat challenges something both challenging but also memorable and fun to engage with, rather than just being like an on-off switch like curses often are. Oh, you're cursed. This bad thing happens. You cast remove curse. Now the bad thing stops happening. And our history of literature is so ripe with fun, dynamic, strange curses that I think D&D, as it does curses now, does a disservice to that. And so we want to create something that will serve that as a story point, both mechanically and narratively. When I got in the outlines for all of the writers' stories, I started picking out parts that seemed to flow through everyone's. And it was that transformation element, whether it's psychologically, physically, spiritually. People were changing, the characters were changing, and I thought, in a typical D&D game, do people really change that much? Do the characters really change that much? And they gain levels and they gain power, and they may change in certain ways, but they don't really change unless the player decides to change the character. So I want to play around rules-wise then with how can we make it fun for the characters to change. Still have the players be in control, but not completely in control of the changes that happen to their characters. So we'll be looking at rules to do that.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. That sounds very exciting.
We've got a lot of stuff in the works.
So, what did you say, Ned?
When I was first talking with Sean about this, I had this flashback to a prank in public school, grade 3. We all had to bring lunches, and because the very first time, because I'm old, this was early 1960s, they were first becoming aware that some people might be allergic to things. So the teachers started going through our lunches. And because of that, one of the parents was really pissed off. Oh, I suppose you're going to peel the banana to make sure it's really a banana inside and not a cigar. So he pre-peeled the banana And then he wrapped it in cellophane, clear cellophane. And then, because he thought he was going to get the teacher, he went to his local craft store, because we had tons of craft stores in those days. They're not around anymore. And he got 2 of those tiny googly eyes that you sew onto, and he put them on one end of the banana. And of course, the other end was the end you open. So the teacher opened the banana and looked at the kid, and then said, and took a bite of the kid's banana. And the kid said, hey, because, hey, my banana, And the teacher said, oh, you'll get it back. And he unrolled the whole thing, and there were 2 eyes looking at him. He dropped the banana and squished it unintentionally. It fell on the floor, and he stepped in it unintentionally. And the kid let up a huge howl because, and the teacher, with ill grace, gave the kid some of his lunch to, But I was thinking, that's what we need in Strangehollow. You bite into a fruit in the swamp, and it opens its eyes and looks at you and goes, yeah, hello.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that sounds excellent.
That feels very Muppet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
So we do sort of along that lines. We have a question from, excuse me, Michael J. Pastor. And they were wondering if the writers were allowed to say what creature they picked to write about.
They're allowed.
Yeah, great. So what have you guys chosen to write about?
I need to grab the cord for my camera, so I'll let someone else handle the floor for like a second.
Does anyone want to jump in and talk about what creature they have started writing about or are trying to work into their story, creature or creatures?
Or just one they find
Aaron?
fascinating?
Any that you
Well, what are some of your favorite ones? You two have worked with Emily the most.
Yeah.
So what monsters or what creatures have drawn your attention the most?
I love the
mean-
striped bravo. My favorite. It's like a tiger bear, but smart. So that's probably the most frightening thing I could ever think of. But also, I want to give it a big hug, which is kind of the nature of Strangehollow at this point. I want to give it all a big hug, but it's also going to kill me while I'm doing that. But I like the striped bravo a lot. It reminds me a little bit of a combination between a Cheshire cat and a blender.
Yeah. Bryan, I love what you're doing with your monsters. So
My favorite is there's no question. It's the Snackle Dragon. It's this poison arrow frog looking dragon thing that apparently, I was talking to Emily, it's not even one of her favorites. It's kind of like a mid-tier critter for her, and I was like, it's my favorite thing ever. It's this little poison slimy dragon thing, and I tied it into my main character for Strangehollow. So I adore the. What's up?
You've got a secondary creature that's paired with it in your story. What do you want to talk about the other one too?
Yeah. So the Fulsum bird, three O's at the end. In one of Emily's descriptions, it talks about how they are, naturally antitoxins, and I was like, I think that my character, in order to keep the Snackle Dragon venom at bay, will be eating Fulsum bird soup constantly. That's going to be my thing. It passes on to the people who eat it. So, and I love the idea of adding an extra O for no reason.
Okay. No. I have a question. Is Fulsum bird soup? Is it made from Fulsum birds, or is it made by Fulsum birds? And you don't know what
from them.
Oh, okay. Just checking. Because it's Strangehollow. Could be anything.
yeah. Now the big question is, how does one capture that bird, and how does one make the soup from it? Maybe there's other ingredients that need to go in that people aren't quite aware of. And so we're going to have a lot of fun with that. You asked about the cookbook. We've already got Fulsum bird soup on the menu.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
Yeah, and Michael J. Pastor, who, by the way, has been a great proponent of this project. I don't know where we met Michael at, but he's been in every chat room that I've been in the last 6 months, it feels like, and he's super excited about this project. So that's infectious, and we appreciate it.
Yes.
He just asked about a specific creature, the sightless maw, which I can talk a little bit about. I think somebody might be working this into one of the stories. If it might be Sean, but we're not there yet. And the sightless maw is super cool. Emily for a long time has envisioned this, call it a sacrificial pit of some sort, on the coast next to there's a village there, a fishing village, and they have to, in order to make the sightless maw, which they don't ever hardly see, they just know it's this big lumbering creature that eats things. In order to keep it at bay and not going into the city, they sacrifice things to this pit. And so we're going to have a lot of fun trying to figure out what is a fun story to kind of turn that narrative on its head, because we've all seen, King Kong story about the natives sacrificing their locals to King Kong to make Kong happy, and that goes back way before King Kong. I'm just speaking of the most recent one I could think of. But what are we going to do to turn that narrative on its head and turn this sightless maw into something that's really interesting and not just a lumbering beast that is chowing down on an entire village if they forget to sacrifice someone?
When I was wanting to get my cord, did I miss Aaron's favorite?
No, I was actually about to ask what that is.
No, I didn't say. I really like the murder friend dude. That is the dude with 3 eyes that's on like the cover, who's next to the sword and the empty helmet. And I think he's a nice murder friend. And basically should be cuddled with until he murders you. And I mean, or they murder you. I don't know the gender of the murder dude, but it just dude goes well after murder. So it's a non-gendered murder dude. And yeah, I think if you see something in Strange Hollow, you should always cuddle it. And that will work out for you 1 time out of 10. But that 1 time will be
make
worth
up.
it. Just if that just has to be the first time, and then great. Then it's great. That's just something to put in your memoirs. But yes, I want one.
Like dating in the 90s.
Did you say it's like dating in the 90s?
Yeah, it was worked out about 1 out of every 10 times, and
it was murdery.
Not ending with murder.
Typically, like after 2000, it changed.
So, the segue.
I mean,
So, how about you, Ed? You got a creature you particularly find fascinating?
I don't have a favorite yet because I can't choose. I'm like, when when all the school kids are picking the sports team, I'm that guy who I want that, and I want this, and I want that, and I can't pick. So part of it is, at the moment, most of these critters are mysteries. So I could give you a better answer when I've read everybody's stories and I know a bit more about the critters. At the moment, it's like, ooh, toys, but I haven't played with any of the toys yet. That sounded wrong. Let me rephrase that. I am not yet at that stage where I really know what the critters are. I know what they look like, and I tend to agree with Aaron. That particular fuzzy little critter on the cover was like, oh, now I'm hooked. But you see, I don't know whether that critter is going to eat my face off, want to date me, want to crawl all up and down me and then get inside my clothing and crawl all around going snuffle, 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 or whatever, or is going to excuse itself to toddle off to the little monsters room for a second and be gone a suspiciously long time, and I come back and everything in the kitchen is gone. It has eaten not just the canned goods, but the cans. Everything is gone. And it's sitting there in the middle of the floor going, got any more? And then it looks at me. And then I think, I have somewhere else to be. I wonder if my car is fast enough. So I don't know yet. I'm just toying with the
It's
ideas.
all of those. It's B,
It's
then
all of them.
A,
At the
then
same
C, and then D in that order specifically,
In that order.
just in case you're
Oh,
wondering.
dear. Okay,
Yeah,
and I'm still reeling from that dating and the whatevers because, yeah, true, yeah.
I just want to note, just because I saw this in the chat, that the band name is Murder Friend. Dude is like, you're like, oh, have you seen Murder Friend, dude? The dude is just what you tell the person that is seeing Murder Friend. But
Yeah,
Murder
dude.
Friend was in fact a great band before they sold out. And yeah, became like MF. But anyway, we're not going to talk about that. But back in their Murder Friend days, they were really like a high quality acid jazz punk with steel band influences that, wow, just amazing.
Wow.
Nice.
Well, I need to
That
look
feel
sounds
like
like awesome.
That's got to work into your fiction somewhere for this. We're adding a chapter. It's going to be the side quest of Murder Friend. This cool acid jazz steel band from the coast, I think.
Yeah.
So we got a question. Oh, go ahead, Sean.
Oh,
Sorry.
go ahead.
No,
I
please
was
go
just
ahead.
going to say this is emblematic of how we're doing this design, right? Normally we would go to a writer with the monsters and all the stats done and say, here, put this in a story. And we're putting a lot of faith in these writers by saying, we want you to tell us what these monsters do, not based on 5th edition D&D. This is just claws, it bites, and oh, maybe it has a breath weapon. What cool things in a story that you write or that you would want to read would this monster do? Then we'll go in and we'll make that happen in the rules. Even if we have to make new rules to do so, we're going to do it because we want that narrative to resonate through games that people play in Strange Hollow.
Yeah, we started. I mean, we told Sean this pretty early on. I think we've told everyone this, that kind of our philosophy is publishers make games, but writers and designers make games great. So that's what we wanted to do, is hand off these concepts, which is the art. The concepts are the art, and see what all of the very imaginative, creative folks come up with. And not every creature is going to find its way into a story, because it's not a full book of, it's not 300 pages of fiction. It is less than that. It is some rules and stuff in there too, right? But we're going to try to pull as many of the creature stat blocks and ideas out of that fiction as we can, and that's been the concept all along. And where we're at in the process is we have some stuff written in terms of design. We're intentionally, the writers are not seeing that stuff. And if they do something that's better and cooler, and we're going to change our stat blocks to match that. And we have a bunch of stuff that we haven't created any rules for. And the writers are creating those things as part of the fiction, which Sean and Dan Dillon and the rest of us are going to take. Whoever's going to be part of the design team at the end, and everyone's invited. Everyone in video right now is invited. Not every chat, to be clear. Everyone's invited to be part of that and help us flesh out those final stat blocks and those final abilities and those layers and those legendary actions and all the other cool stuff we're going to invent that D&D doesn't even know exists yet.
Oh yeah, that sounds extremely exciting, and I think so. So we had a really good question that just came up in the chat that I would like to. I was actually curious about this, and other people have asked me this as well. And it's a 5th edition product, but if everything goes well, and I think they're meaning for stretch goals, do you guys have plans on considering it ports to other editions?
So the timing of this. Well, first of all, I just want to quickly say we have passed 40K, so we're at 200% funded. So
Woo!
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Righteous.
There we go. Laser light show from Ward over there.
That's from Murder Friend. That's my Murder Friend happy light show.
They were known for those light shows. Oh.
You really are.
So the timing of when this is coming out and when it's going to be fulfilled will be we'll have the rules for 6th edition or whatever, 1D&D, whatever 5 point, whatever it's called, the next version of Dungeons and Dragons. we will make sure we're going to basically have it work for both 5th edition and whatever's next from a D&D perspective, so that you can use this book now and in the future. It's not going to be something which, well, I have to play 5th edition, use this stuff. Even though it's going to be backwards compatible, we want to make sure that it's not just compatibility that sings in 6th edition too, or whatever it's called. And that's just the plan is of when we plan the Kickstarter, when we know we're going to fulfill. So we're going to have that runway to make sure that it's not going to be good for 5th edition, but for the future of D&D as well.
Yep.
Nice.
Sure. And then more directly talking about other system ports, we actually, our initial conceit was that we were going to produce this for a couple of different systems, and we've kind of laid off of that for the time being for a couple of reasons. First off, the lift of, I guess, the printing lift, putting it in 2 different books and those sorts of things. The production lift, I guess is what I'm saying, is pretty big. There's a lot of work to be done when you're producing a whole 2nd book or 3rd book or however many you're going to do for another system. What I want to do, and this, of course, everything depends on funding, right? So as that number goes up, we get more options. We can hire more people to do new cool things who know new rule systems, right? But what I would like to see happen over time is maybe these are just set out online on our website, but some just quick translational pieces that we can say, okay, you want to use some of this stuff in Dungeon World, here's a quick 20-page translation guide. Or you want to use some of this stuff in, I don't know, what's another system?
Pathfinder
2E. Here's a quick translation guide for how to do some of that stuff. Or we just handpick some. Yeah, so any of that kind of stuff that isn't easy to translate, it's stuff we can consider. We just don't know exactly how that's going to look yet, because it depends a lot on timing. It depends on the talent on the team and the funding we have.
Can we adapt it to Honey Heist?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, because you are a MF bear.
You are a Snackle Dragon. You have 2 stats: Snackle and Dragon.
Done. See, it's done already.
But Cocaine Owlbears are pretty great. Pretty great.
Pretty great. Props to is it Mike Lafferty that's putting that out right now? He's an IGDN member. Cocaine Owlbear uses the Honey Heist rules, but Cocaine Owlbear is the theme.
Oh, it's amazing.
That's ridiculous.
I think it is on Kickstarter literally right now. Go find it. It's really cool. I backed it. I had to.
So I've got a question for our authors and our lead designer. What challenges, and good challenges, are you facing when designing and writing for this setting, for Surviving Strangehollow?
Take it away, lead.
Oh, it's super easy. I just let everyone else do the work. that's what lead designer means, right?
I think so.
Sure.
And for me, one of the things, like in the early days of the industry, you're always on your own because nothing else had been built. And as you go on and on and on, decade after decade after decade, you learn how to work in a team. And then at the beginning of this project, it's like, okay, so what is everybody else doing? Well, you can't see that yet. Mm-hmm. Damn, I'm isolated again. And although I like it because it means you're coming up with your own cool stuff, which is, Sean's going, okay, what's he going to come up with? It's like, I've been trained to sort of read hints and clues off people. Mm-hmm. So in the same way that I would much rather meet with someone in person so I can read their face and their intonations rather than just do the email thing where, sometimes you can even miss sarcasm, because it's all, I can't read anything. You're back isolated again. So although it's cool, there's a bit of me that says, okay, show me the map. Okay. So what's so-and-so doing? What is a frumious bandersnatch in Strangehollow terms? Okay, so now I can play off of that because I'm used to working in a team and building something that doesn't conflict with somebody. And now it's back. Ooh, you took away my comfort level. Okay, then.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think for me, the hard part is we've been outlining a little bit. It's interesting because when I do prose writing, I am very much whether you want to call it a pantser or a gardener, which is the sort of nicer way to put it. You sow seeds and then see what sprouts from them. And I tend to write and kind of figure it out as I go. Like I figure out the voice of the characters. I kind of get into it in that way. When I do TTRPG writing, I'm often writing like freelance. So I'm writing to an outline. So it's like there's something very specific that it's like, get this done. This is the thing you need to do. And part of what I'm always figuring out is how can I put my own little flair on something within a box. So it's like you're working in a box, but like I can paint the inside of the box red. That's exciting. Actually once painted my entire apartment red. So
I've got a red room.
yes,
I
it was
totally
great.
understand.
Ooh, a womb with a view. No, sorry.
Great for her. Don't know that I thought of it that was square, which I don't know. I'm not an
all right.
anatomy expert,
Okay.
Now that's how it works.
but feel like that's
okay.
not the way. But anyway. But like
Honestly, don't
doing
recall.
this is interesting because it's like a little bit of both. So like, early on they're like, "Oh, come up with an outline." And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Here's some stuff." But now that I'm, writing with that outline, I'm like, "I don't know. Like, what did I even say? Why did I say that?" It's interesting. It's like being your own boss and then being like, "Why did my boss do this to me?" That meme where they shoot the guy in the chair and then they're like, "Who made me do this?" That's basically me, past me and me having a fight over what this story is going to be.
Was
that's
past
good.
you saying that's future me's problem when they were doing that?
Exactly. 100%. And now future me is like, "You horrible person. I don't like you."
Kind of like how past me is always like, I'll do the dishes tomorrow. Like, why would you do it?
I know a guy right down there who's going to be like, well, if you want to change the outline, we're not going to be mad at you. Just make it better.
He's not wrong.
Great. My whole purpose in being on this call has now been completed.
Excellent.
You now have tacit permission.
Yes.
I mean, that's the kind of the thing was, when we talked with Sean and talking about the project, and you said, who do you want to work with? Like, who's going to tell great stories, and what kind of stories do they want to tell? And like, just kind of letting them do their thing, and taking these this sort of top down art first sort of concept, and saying, okay, make this your own, make the story that you want to tell in this world, and giving you guys the latitude and the words are hard. I like to say latitude again to go make that happen, and support you while you're doing that with whatever you need.
I think my only hiccup I run into is because the authoring thing is fine. I do that, but a lot of times I play designer. A lot of the other gigs that I do a lot of game design. And so it is real hard for me to see these critters and not immediately go, "Oh my God, I know the stat block I want for this thing." And then I go, "Oh no, that's not your job here, Brian. Just tell a damn story." I keep having to pull myself back to just tell the story. Don't specifically try and describe something because I know that's what I want in there. Meow, 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 meow. I have to remind myself that that's not my position in this. Tell the story. The design will happen because Sean is awesome.
That's true. Also, I'm going to call Fooey on that because you're the one guy who said, I made a subclass. Can we use this?
That was okay. All right. But that wasn't a creature related. That was me being ridiculously, super excited about the project in its infancy. That's totally different. Shut up, Jason.
I didn't. Did I sound mad? I'm not mad. You keep throwing ideas over the fence, and you get to be a designer as well as a writer. If that's what you want to be doing.
It was an accidental subclass.
Ooh.
I tripped.
I see what you did there.
Oh, yes.
And what everyone is describing is exactly what I was hoping for, which is a little bit of discomfort, right? Because I think I think it was Aaron that said, when you write role-playing games, there's a formula almost, or there are a few different formulae that you can use, and you sort of fall into that. We're going to do it this way because this is how the game works, and it's fine. I make a living writing to those formula and those templates and the thing that I know that game design companies want. And I just wanted to see what would happen if we took that away. And we just saw what these very creative folks could do outside of that comfort zone with just their world building selves and their storytelling selves to push this? What sort of different stories might we get? And can we translate that into rules? Can we translate that into stat blocks that are still usable for this game, but are just that little bit different, that are going to be a little bit different 5e play than you might normally get? Because there are a million 5e supplements out there. There are a million monster books. We want something that's just that little bit different. Just we'll see. We're going to get there. There's no doubt we'll get there. It's how much will I be hated before the end of this process, I think is what we're looking at.
No, I can tell you personally from chatting with you all before this and after. Some of you have not met before. Some of us are old friends. I'm very excited about this project. I can't wait to see what you all come up with, because I think this is a direction. I mean, I know this is a direction 5e hasn't gone in, but I think this is a direction that many role-playing games haven't gone in for some time. Is that really forward-facing, story-first, let's come up with some really cool ideas and make the mechanics work for the story. And that's exciting. That's really exciting to see.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people.
They're just different disciplines. I mean, it's really interesting. Like, as somebody who wrote stories first and then moved over to tabletop, like, there were certain things that I did that I had to stop doing. Like, one of them is throwaway lines. So in whenever people ask me the difference between the two, like in a story, like in a short story, you want to make the world seem bigger, but nobody can go off the page. They have to read the story you've written. And so if you want to suddenly reference something that you don't care about and you just thought sounded cool, you don't have to worry about it. And if they want to know about it, they'll just have to wait for you to write that story or write their own fan fiction. But in a game, people will actually go, oh, my players are going to want to go there. If you drop random things that are interesting, you do have to like follow up on them or figure out how they would work, because otherwise it just feels like you pulled a fast one over on a poor DM who's like, why did you mention this amazing thing? And then you told me nothing about this honey heist, but you just mentioned that it was the 5th honey heist that month. I'm going to want to know more about that, because my players are going to want to know if they are an MFing bear. And so, like, thinking about it, but I think one of the things you lose is that sometimes some of the best random ideas come from those throwaways. Absolutely. That you put in a story, and then when you go back and look at the story, you go, oh, wow, actually, I do want to explore that more, because I had a chance to put it on the page, let it rest, think about it, and come back to it. But when you're writing for games, you may have to cut it out before you can get to it. And so sometimes those things get lost, or they get sent up to the farm to live with all the other ideas, not killed, sent with your puppy, just like your mom said. And so that is like a big difference. And I think this gives the freedom to think about some of those throwaway ideas and think, oh, maybe instead of throwing them away, we can pick them up in an interesting way without that being the rule from the start. Getting a chance to play, put a sandbox, build all the sandcastles, and then go, oh my gosh, what's in there? Let me go look and see what's inside that window.
Yep. Gifts you give yourself. That's the best thing you can do as a writer, is give yourself all the gifts. You can open them later, but they're there for you. And the DMs who buy these books, they're creative folks.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Even if you don't open that gift is there, and a game master will be able to take what we've made and add their own flair, their own flavor, their own drama to it.
Yeah. But we've got a really good question in here a little bit ago from That Is How the Mom Do.
Yes.
Which is, I said before we hopped on that is my favorite screen name that I've ever seen. I don't know who you are, but we're going to be best friends one day. So they asked if this is being written without a formula, what is the central theme that the writers are connecting with? And I think that has emerged in the direction of transformation. And that doesn't necessarily mean physical transformation. It means any kind of transformation. So spiritual, physical, mental, all those sorts of things. D&D, and I'll let Sean elaborate on this more because it's really his baby, but D&D is a game where the transformation is really upward. You become more powerful. That is the transformation you go through generally. I mean, there are some great games out there, some of which Sean has worked on, like Grim Hollow, where transformation is a key element in some ways. But in our case, we want transformation to be broad as well as deep, right? And right now, transformation in D&D tends to happen at depth rather than breadth. And we're really going to have a lot of fun with this, I think. And Sean, now make me sound smart. Go.
No, you sounded smarter than I'm going to be able to. I'm going to get philosophical here.
Yeah.
In a lot of role playing games, players are a rock, and they change the setting. They save the world. They kill the monster. They change the unknown to the known. Strange Hollow is not going to allow that. Strange Hollow is the wall that you hit. It's weird. It's strange. You don't know what's in there till you go in, and once you go in there, you're going to be lost. So what has to change? If in good stories, right, there's a struggle, something changes. So if the setting's not going to change, then what has to change is what's normally the battering ram, which is the characters. And so we want players to latch onto that and make. Yes, you will be able to change things about Strange Hollow. You will be able to make these incremental things, especially as you increase in power and increase in level. But at some point, you're going to have to embrace that change and see if you can tell stories with the other players and the game master about how your character changes. So we're going to have, I hope, some things we see from different games, like bonds, like goals. And those are some things that can change as you go, along with other things that will change as you go. And we're going to see how people gravitate toward that as a different way to use 5e to tell stories.
Yeah, I see it a lot as evolution and adaptation in some ways. Thinking about this ecologically, our great ancestors adapted to walk on land, and now we have politics. Who would have predicted that 8 billion years ago, or however long ago it was, right? So, that's the sort of thing I'm thinking. Obviously, that's a real esoteric thought, but we went from being fish-like creatures to walking on land and having societies. How do characters change over time in ways that they can't predict getting into this book over generations? And those are some of the stories we're going to kind of tell, I think.
It also sounds like a much more complementary storytelling style, where the characters really also sort of get to tell their story, similar to like a Powered by the Apocalypse or systems like that. They're really much more involved in the telling of that story, which sounds very, very interesting and really cool for 5e port.
Yeah, and that's why when I saw the question about different systems, I wanted to say you may see pieces of different systems coming to bear to use the best parts of those games to inform how the game is played and how the characters change over time.
Mm-hmm. And that was something that attracted us to 5e was its kind of toolkitty nature, where really you can there's a player's handbook and it tells rules, but you can change this stuff. It's not like, well, you can't change how. Of course, you can change how it works. You can remix it and use other things that you like. Like you mentioned Dungeon World. I think bonds in Dungeon World and systems like that are really, really cool and inform role playing well, and kind of want to see what we can do to leverage that in a D&D setting with backgrounds and things like that to help players, give players cues for their characters to assist in role play, so that can be super fun at the table. Because the story where you hit a 20, you rolled 20, hit the dragon was cool. But the story where you did something awesome or did something in character that's not like you as a person, but that is something your character did that sticks with you, and those are the fun stories that I want to be a part of, and I wanted to help other players tell at their tables.
Yeah, I'm gonna give a shout out to our friends over at Ghostfire Gaming while we're talking about this, because I think the stuff that all of their systems are doing, and Sean's been a part of a number of those, as have a number of the other folks on this project. But the transformation stuff they're doing, the faction system, some of the stuff they're rolling into some of those games, really interesting stuff, and stuff that we're definitely gonna cheat off of in some way, I'm sure. Because there are great independent publishers out there breaking D&D in ways that allows D&D to grow. You're breaking down those muscles so that D&D can grow and be something better, like it's been doing for 50 years. It's been breaking and getting better and different. And depending on who you are, you might like the version that had smaller muscles as opposed to the one that has bigger muscles. Or you like the bigger brain rather than the smaller brain. You get to move those stats around, but there is a version of D&D over the last 50 years that is what you want it to be, or close enough that you can tweak it like what we're doing to make it really, really great for yourself.
And I see some beauty in this to where, many of us have been GMs and probably the eternal GM at their table for a while, right? And some of us have had the opportunity to play. And what I really like to see, and I see it in this, is that ability for change to happen and for people to jump in and tell their own stories. And I know the GMs are going to grab this and do their own thing with it. I've never been at a table where a GM doesn't do something not quite like the books, not, dead to the rules. There's always a little something they change to make it their own style, their own way. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I think that's something that is at the heart of every GM. I love to see it. So we had a great question from Michael J. Pastor. They wondered, how has Emily handled handing over her babies to you guys to work with?
Glad that was brought up.
So-
We're going to do another sometime during the campaign, and Emily will be on it. We just could not schedule an evening one because she is 5 hours different than we are, and she is long in bed at this point in time.
I was very fortunate to get to do a nice chat with Emily for my YouTube show, and she is over the moon with the stuff that we're able to do with her critters. She's the couple of like fiction excerpts. That's a word I can never say right. Chunks of fiction that she's seen already. She's already loving what she's seen. And just the couple of things that we chit-chatted about. She told me one of her favorite monsters, and she's excited about. And I immediately ran to our Excel document and put my name on it. But like, there's she's really, really excited. I know I would be a little panicky. I would be like, these are, like you said, these are her babies. And we're about ready to, turn some of them upside down and be like, yeah, no, this one's the murder friend. This one plays the theremin in Murder Friend. And I can't wait for her to see what we can do. And she's such an awesome person and super talented. And I can only hope that we do it justice, not just for the gamers, but also for her.
So I know that Jason and Mikey have talked with Emily extensively. Have the rest of you had a chance to chat with Emily as well? To an extent?
Not yet.
No.
I barely have time. I get 3 hours of sleep a night. I'm trying to do all these projects. I haven't had time.
I completely
But
understand that.
I have been in Emily's shoes because the realms predated D&D. It was a story world. For me, starting as a 5-year-old boy, so you can imagine some of the fiction was really bad. Me to write fiction. And the games came along later, and then I had to sort of say, yeah, if I say yes, I'm handing my baby to the world. And they told me right up front, it will change. Because we've got these Desert of Desolation modules with these pyramids, and we want to sink your moonshays and put the Elvian setting in its place. And I said, okay. It's sort of like, all these people are going to move into my house, and the first thing they're going to do is start renovating all the rooms, and I won't be able to find the bathroom. Damn! But once you cross that bridge, I have to tell you, you think it's like I'm gonna put a blindfold on, and I'm gonna walk across a busy road. I'm gonna get knocked over. I'm gonna get flattened. But if you don't, you go, this is so cool. This is so cool because your world comes alive. When you're the sole creator, You know where everything is in your world because you put it there. If somebody asks a question like we're getting in chat, you think of an answer and you write it down, and then it becomes part of your world. But the world comes alive in a completely different way when you're getting blindsided and surprised because all these creators are cooking in all the different rooms, and you're going, "What's that smell? I would never have made anything like what is that?" So yeah, I hope, as you just said, I hope we were going to do it justice. But I'm thinking, because I understand the trepidation, but yeah, I think it's going to be Emily will go, wow. Now the question is, where does she go from there?
Mhm.
And where do we go from there? But I mean, yeah, that's the cool thing. It's like, what happens when she reads all this stuff and goes, ooh, 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 because I know that's what I'll do.
In a way, we are already trained in that sort of milieu because we make role-playing games, which are taken by DMs, game masters, and then taken by players. So we're writing twice removed from the final audience in a lot of ways. Whereas Emily is used to creating art. I'm not going to step in Emily's shoes because I shouldn't do that. But she creates a thing, and it is the thing. And so I think it's probably been a learning experience for her, just like it is for us. When I've talked to her, I've learned so much more about art than I ever thought I would. And she's learning about role-playing game design more than she probably thought she ever would. And
Awesome.
I think she trusts us. I think she trusts that we, like her, are creative folks who want the best for what this place will be. And so there will be times when she'll say, that's not what I envisioned for this. And if we can accommodate that, then we will definitely accommodate that, because this is her vision. These creatures are her babies in that sense. And we want to take very good care of them. But we also are serving that audience that needs tools to make their stories. So we are going to make sure that the audience has those things available to them as well.
Yeah.
I think the coolest thing would be a couple of years down the road when Emily is sitting there, Strangehollow, and then she reaches for our game to get the map of Strangehollow, and this is now Strangehollow, and she can go and walk it and then do new stuff with it. Instead of saying, no, and not picking up the thing and saying, this is Strangehollow. They've given me Strangehollow. That's the goal.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think there's something so fun about seeing your work in another format. I actually was reminded about this because I usually don't look at myself on stream, but I happened to look up and I was like, oh, I forgot that this picture is behind me. So something that I do when I publish short stories is I commission an artist to make artwork from the story as a way to sort of pay it forward to the art community, but also because I'm not a visual person, and so it's really exciting to see what somebody else takes from my words and is able to put it in a new format. And I feel like you always learn something because there's just no way to mind meld with other people. And when they kind of, even if they misinterpret, like I've had artists where I'm like, oh, that isn't exactly what I meant. But in seeing the way that they saw it, like I learned something, even if it's that I felt more strongly about some element of the story than I thought I had. And so kind of like when my boyfriend and I in high school used to flip a coin to see which movie we were going to watch, and you actually judge it based on the coin flip, like your reaction to the coin flip, not the coin flip itself. So if it flips heads and you both go, no, then you know you really wanted to watch the Tails movie. But like that, like sometimes it takes working with other people to understand your own work better and how you feel about it, what you feel strongly about, what you miss. It's the reason I love to watch actual plays of adventures that I have written, because you want to see what people take and what they leave behind. And you learn a lot, like about what you care about, but also how somebody else takes your work and like, just puts it in another light. And I think there's something just very beautiful about that.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, well
Yeah,
said.
I will say, Mikey and I have been working with Emily for about a year and a half now. Just getting this in order to see how it was going to work, and she has been very gracious. She will admit that she did not know what she was getting into, But as we're acclimating to Strangehollow and her vision of Strangehollow, she's acclimating to how we're working and the team and what we're going to be producing. And she's really, I think she's loving it. We talk with her. Sean, Mikey, and I have a call with her every 2 weeks where we go through stuff. And we're also just constantly in Discord chatting back and forth. And she's been very, very active. So this isn't like Ed was mentioning, a renovation. We are not gentrifying Strangehollow. It's incumbent upgrades. Like, she's still there. She's helping us envision what's being built. Sorry, I'm a sociologist, people. I say these things. So she's involved in the process of the place becoming more of what it is rather than just an imagination.
Nice. So we do have a question from the chat. Unless anyone else has anything to add, I'll step back if that's the case.
I will mention we've got about 10 minutes left.
Yep. Exactly what I was gonna say too. Thank you. So we have a question from the chat, and they're wondering, it was a Michael J. Pastor, and apologies if anyone's question we didn't get to it. It wasn't because we didn't want to. The chat moves by fast sometimes. Michael J. Pastor is wondering if there's a timeline in mind. They know it's early, but they're just curious if there might be a timeline in mind for, I believe, when it will be in their hands.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, there is a timeline in mind. This is, of course, a production process. So we have tried to plan in for hiccups. We know there will be a number of hiccups. We hope we have guessed the right number of hiccups. And so we are looking at May of next year for delivery is our sort of outside timeline. That is when we want books in people's hands. Maybe not Australia, because for some reason it takes 6 months for something to travel from here to there. I can't figure that out. We'll try not to make that happen this time. But we think that we will have writing done by summer, which means, and we're also going to be doing design and rules development during that time, but we want to have polished written pieces by summer. And then design needs to happen in a skeleton sort of format until September, when new rules come out for 6th edition. And so we are timing up all of that stuff to hit when 6th edition finally hits the shelf so that we can make sure that we are in line with it. Of course, we will have the pre-release documents and things to work from, but we want to make sure that we are in line with what the published material says, not what we think the published material is going to say. So that is really the timeline we're trying to hit. Once that's done, we probably need 2 months with that material to fine tune everything for the new edition. We're guessing 2 months, give or take. That means we go to print sometime around the end of the year, and things start showing up in people's inboxes. Mailboxes. That's what they're called in the real world. Yeah, they start showing up in mailboxes sometime next spring.
Nice.
And that's
I
another
can
reason
say this.
to start with the fiction. So we're giving time for those rules to trickle out to us.
I can say this: if as long as nobody in this as a VIP special launching day thing, that if no one in this chat is against it, I still have to put together my guest special spots for my Gamehole events, and I would love to do a Strangehollow game or two, and that's not until October. So if you guys are amenable, I have no problem telling people that I'll cook up a couple of events, and I'll run some Strangehollow as a guest at Gamehole.
Awesome. And we're going to try to do that at several conventions this year. We're going to GaryCon in 2 weeks. By the way, anybody going to be at GaryCon, come say hi to us. We'll be around. We know Ed will be there. So will Sean and Brian. So we'll at least have that crew here. I think we're going to try to be present at a lot of conventions this year, particularly once we get the playtest stuff ready to go, so we can be running it at those conventions and getting feedback. It's going to be super important. Obviously, we'll be releasing playtest materials to those who have qualified to get playtest materials. We call them VIPs. There was some special process. Hopefully, you all made it in. If not, send me a letter. I'll figure something out. And if you're in this chat, we'll figure out materials. Yeah, in my inbox. So we're going to get obviously feedback from everybody in the community and try to get that out into the world and iterate from that perspective. But being there running the games ourselves is sometimes more valuable than getting, it's kind of the quality versus the quantity method. We need both.
Because what I look for when I run those games, we ran a couple of games at Gen Con, is do players connect with the setting? Do they find it fun? It's always, now we can the classes and the subclasses, and there's playtesting and tweaking and making sure that things are sort of within the bounds of what the class can do, and not breaking sort of the unwritten rules, or the written rules, kind of a thing. But like, does this subclass or does this class or does this rule, is it fun, interesting to a player that they want to play that? Like that to me is the most interesting thing. Like, yeah, this thing could be super powerful, but if it's not interesting, like, I would, as a designer, I would think that I failed because that player is not interested in that thing. That's what I sort of key on when I'm running games or running playtests. Is, was it fun?
Yeah. I totally get that. And we've got a lot of folks in here asking about, playtests online and whatnot, and I'm certain that information will come out as everything develops. So as
And
we're
you see-
closing here, or go ahead.
J. Cody Pittman just posted in there, Pike Master was lit. So for those of you that don't know, and I was making fun of Cody earlier, he's in Indianapolis with us, and he plays in our local group with Mikey and me. So he's seen some very early, not at all accurate versions of some of these things. Probably will not make the final cut in the version he's played, but he loved it.
Hey, Cody, if you're out there listening, the Pike Master is changing over to a fisherman class, and it's because of you.
It's a pole arm.
Oh.
So for those of us,
We just
those of you
lost
I gotta
72
clap
backers.
I gotta
How'd that
clap
happen?
for Brian and a
Boo-boo.
handshake from Aaron. I feel like I have won.
I think one of the subclasses they can get, if they level up, is called the Sturgeon General. Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. So before we lose all
And
the
the
backers,
stream is ending.
no, I'm kidding. So is there anything any of you would like to say to the VIP guests before we're off here? And I'll give everyone their time and their chance to let them know something or tell them whatever they'd like.
Yeah, you just call on people, Piercy.
Sure. Brian.
I think for everybody listening, thank you so much for A, being part of the chat, and B, being part of this whole project. This is doing what we do is it's a dream. I almost just rhymed. It's a dream come true. Like we love what we do. We make games. We make people happier. Just even if it's just for a couple hours out of their regular existence, and we can only do that because of you guys. So thank you, VIPs. Thank you, other viewers and gamers and backers and everybody in between.
Mikey.
Yeah, I mean, way to take all the awesome stuff, Brian. Good job. You've done this lots of times before. Just one thing that I think, a thread that I know Sean has talked about and Aaron has talked about, and Brian, all the people that are professional game designers and writers, and I kind of want to just kind of the thread that I see on this is, a lot of the times when we think about these heroic characters and think about let's say Frodo, Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, they don't just win every battle and get better every time. They go through struggles and they go through challenges and they come through change. And that hero's journey, and how can we tell that story with characters and players at our tables with this book, so that your character has those sort of story arcs and that sort of hero's journey that makes that a memorable game experience that sticks with you and that you talk about later.
Aaron.
I don't have anything deep to say. Support Murder Friend and you can find their merch anywhere Strangehollow music is sold.
There might be add-ons coming later that are Murder Friend t-shirts.
Oh, that's that's so good.
Might happen.
Ward.
Sure. Yeah, I've everyone already said all the important things. The thank yous. We are blessed, if that's a thing for you. Lucky. We'll go with lucky. We are fortunate and lucky to be doing this work, and to have these folks doing it with us. This great team of writers, even the ones that aren't here. The best ones are here. Don't tell the others I said that. The other ones are also good though. And we're just super lucky to have everyone here working on the project with us. And I love you. That is how the mom do.
Sean, any parting words of wisdom or joyful exuberance?
Don't eat rocks
All right.
is what I'm going to go with, and also thank you, everybody who supports not just our work but the industry as a whole.
Ed.
All the thank yous have been said, and I just want to say to Emily, I know, hopefully happily in bed right now, I hope we treat your baby well. I hope you like what we do. And to all of you who are supporting this, all of the backers and all the people who come across it later, if Emily likes what we did, then you have had a ringside seat or a creative process that is different. And although it may be secretive to you, outsiders, at the moment, you will begin to see how a world was built by a whole bunch of people working together, using a world that already exists because of one creative. So it will be a unique way, and perhaps you'll be inspired to do it yourselves. Wah!
Play more games. Read
Beautiful.
more books.
Beautiful. Well, thank you all so much for joining us tonight and being here chatting with the VIPs and other guests who've joined us. Thank you all to the VIPs for being on, and we hope that all of you have an excellent evening. Go tell people about the project. I know you've already backed it. We can't wait to see how far this goes. Take care, everyone. Have a great evening.
Peace out.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did putting it together. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. If anyone who's ever met me, especially if it's industry wise, I've never met a microphone in it. Like, I just try to do my best to not. I try not to talk over people, and I try not to dominate the conversation because I often get very excited and animated about the things that I want to say and you know, that I'm excited about a topic, and I just have all this stuff that I want to tell you about. I just hope that during that stream, it came off as excitement and not being a jerk. Plus, how cool was it that, you know, Ed Greenwood, Elminster himself, was part of this, or is part of this, and took the time out of his busy schedule, because I'm sure he's busier than I am, to do that stream with us. So I know how fortunate I am to be part of these projects. I hope that it's because they like the work that I do and it has something to do with skill. But even if it is all luck, I am thankful that I am able to be a part of these things and able to do these streams and actual plays and stuff. And part of help shaping the world of Strangehollow. So I hope you enjoyed the stream. Maybe it was informative. Maybe it made you go, yeah, let me go take a look at this. And you pop over to you follow the link in the description after you like the video, share and subscribe and all that stuff. But you check it out, and maybe you go and back the Kickstarter, become part of the Strangehollow family. So I hope that everything is going well for you, whoever you are, wherever you are, and that video in some capacity put a smile on your face, because that's, at the end of the day, that's the whole point of all this. So until next time. Oh, speaking of next time, so next week is GaryCon and Adepticon. So I will not get a video out next week, so I will be seeing you in 2 weeks, and in 2 weeks I will have the kind of, this is what happened to me at the shows, this is what we were talking about. So you get the skinny in 2 weeks. I might, if I have the opportunity, I'm gonna at least try and go live for a little while from the shows. So you might see a couple of live moments pop up, but a lot of that's just going to depend on, you know, how loud it is, whether or not my phone can keep up with it. You know, we'll see what we can do. I'm not promising anything, but you know, look to see if lives can happen, or if lives happen, and then the next proper episode will be coming out on the 29th. Which will then give you basically the playback, the hit reel, so to speak, from those shows. Until then, however, please be safe. Get your shots. Wear a mask if you have to. Wash your hands. Don't lick doorknobs. You know how it is. Just try and leave every place a little happier than when you got there. And do me a personal favor and play some games. We will see you probably in 2 weeks. Maybe before. Bye, guys.